the first big one that we have today is, what would be your encouragement for the adults who listen to, whether it's our Them Before Us podcast or the radio show, and they have made some of these decisions that have hurt kids or violated their natural rights? So let's say it's the folks who've, single parent by choice, they've used a sperm donor or egg donor, they've used a surrogate, but now they've, heard from us or read our materials, and they're recognizing this is going to hurt my kid, or I can see how it's impacting my child. What do we do? Or what encouragement do we give to people? You can't undo that you used a sperm donor at some level, or if it's a same sex couple and that is the decision they're making to live and raise their kids in that setting, but they do acknowledge, we're two women and we aren't giving our son something valuable he needs. What's the advice that we give?
I don't think that those people are alone, because they talk to us and they think, well, I thought that I was enough. Like, I thought that as long as I really, really wanted a baby, I could go to the sperm bank and I could have a baby, and the baby was going to be just fine, because I was like, so wanted to be a mom, and I had all the love to give, and I was financially stable. But then their child gets to be 9 or 12 or 15. And it's very, very clear that mom simply does not have everything that that child needs, especially as it relates to emotional connection and investment. And as these children start struggling with their identity and asking questions about who am I, that the parents are not able to answer, or maybe the old answers that they gave of, you don't have a dad, you have two moms, no longer satisfies them. Or they see their child slipping into a depression state because they are so unhappy, and the world has said, you should be happy. The messages they're hearing from the world is, you're so lucky that you have two moms who love you. And that often kind of functions as a bit of gaslighting for these kids, because they innately long to be loved by both their mother and their father. And when the world does not reflect back those innate longings, they're going to have to find fault somewhere. And they usually find fault with themselves. It must be me. I'm the one that's wrong. There's something wrong with me for wanting what every human child throughout human history has ever wanted: their own mother and father loving them. It's so funny. I was at an event just yesterday talking with a woman who saw a baby at Costco, a 2-year-old at Costco, who had two dads. It's very clear this is a 2-dad family. And like all women, we start talking to the baby, right? So she goes up and she starts talking to the baby. Oh my gosh, honey, how are you? How are you? And she's this like 2.5-year-old girl who's verbal. And she just was reaching, like lunging out of the shopping cart, reaching for this woman. And she kind of looked at the dads like, is it okay if I pick your kid up? And they're like, oh yeah, she'd love to say hi. So she picked her up, and the girl is just grabbing onto her and literally in her 2-year-old voice said, can we take her home? Can we take her home? There is something about children. They know what they need and they know what they want. Maybe they can't verbalize it. Maybe they're afraid to verbalize it. But children need, deserve, and have a right to their mother and father. So sometimes you don't realize this when you're in the process of forming that family that excludes the child's mother or father. But maybe you're at the place where you can't deny it anymore. So what do? You apologize. You go to your kid. You tell them the story. I thought this was going to be okay. I really believed that I, as a single mom, or we as two dads, that we were going to have everything that you needed. And we pretended for a long time like we did, because we love you and you're wonderful. But now I see that we have wronged you and we're sorry, and we can't take it back. But what we can do is say, we validate you and you're right. You're right for feeling like something is missing, because something is missing. You are missing something that you were made for. And then I would encourage you to be the safest place for your child to process that kind of loss with, because obviously they're suffering, like all kids who have lost their mother or father suffer through this question. But what's worse than suffering is suffering in isolation. Like, try to make sure that they are not having to process this alone, because they're probably going to come to the wrong conclusions, namely that it's their fault, or there's something wrong with them, or there's a reason why their mother or father did not want them. So even though it's going to be painful, even though you're going to have to acknowledge that you contributed to their pain, don't let them process it alone. Do you have thoughts, Jen? Because I know you're really familiar with a lot of the stories that we share online in our book. You've interviewed different children that have experienced family breakdown. What would you add in terms of advice?
My main thought was, even as a woman who doesn't have children, how heartbreaking it is to imagine a child that doesn't have mom. That yeah, it's like to be raised by two men, to be raised by a single man. It just like blows my mind as a woman. Just think, and but I mean the same in the flip side for a boy that doesn't have a dad with them, right? So it just seems like, I think we've talked before about even finding some kind of, and I mean surrogate in the sense of a stand-in, a person who really would be safe, but would invest in your children, or those connections to give them an element of that other side of the gender balance that they need. I think would be so important. And everything you else you said was so well said.
Yeah, agree that you may not be able to give them their mother or father, but maybe your own father or mother could stand in and give them some of the maternal or paternal love that they are craving. Obviously, you need to be careful about anybody that you're bringing into your child's life, because some other man or woman is not going to have the natural protectiveness and investment that the child's own mother or father would have had. So you need to screen those adults carefully. But yeah, like, you need to meet their need for the missing mother or father love, because the ways they may try to meet that need on their own could be pretty risky for them.